I am back. Okay, so do you guys care that you're seeing me reading? Would you prefer I just cover the screen and you only hear my voice? It's up to you. Let me know. Hey, you're not gonna hurt my feelings. You're like, cover your face, or we just want to hear the words. Let me know. Anyway, okay, so we're gonna go back to at the end of episode one, they had pretty much, Alden kissed Stella fiercely and dipped her, and the kids' eyes were burning, and they don't get no allowance because they're rotten, horrible children. Um, and Franny says, "How can you even breathe doing that?" So that's where we're at right now. Okay, so let me get to, you know what? I lost my place. I'm so sorry. I should be more organized. Like that's ever gonna happen. Oh. Okay, let's see. Let me get up there. Get up there. I actually did this video earlier, this reading, and then I accidentally deleted it. So here we go again. Because I'm electronically challenged in many, many ways. Okay. Aha, I think I'm finding it. Meanwhile, you could have got a cup of coffee. Okay, we'll see. Come on. I'm sorry. I stink at this. Oh, I went too far. Back the other way. Okay, so episode two. 2 weeks had gone by. The sun shone brightly. It was a good day. The kids were back in school, and Stella was home alone. Alden was off doing sales work. When Alden was not farming, he was on the road. Stella was never happy that her husband was off and gone a lot. Alden had been crossbreeding his cows for years, and he genuinely believed that he had the best beef. Their beef was finally taking off. Sorry if I sniffle. Please excuse me. It's allergies. I'll try not to do it. Stella and Alden had been friends since preschool. Eventually, they became best friends. Stella had feelings for Alden, but he never saw her as a girl. Not until the summer before their senior year. Stella had always been tall. She filled out in all the right places, but tended to wear baggy clothes, comfortable clothes. Then, the last week of summer, Stella and her best friend Cara showed up at the beach. Alden and all his guy friends were there playing volleyball. Stella and Cara laid out a blanket. Stella grabbed the bottom of her cover up and brought it up over her head slowly, revealing her hot pink bikini. Stella tossed her long, dark curls over her shoulder. She glanced up to see Alden standing by the volleyball net. Alden paid no attention to the game. The ball went over the net several times. The ball eventually bopped him on the head, but Alden could not take his eyes off Stella. She is tall, tan, and smiling at him in a way she had never smiled at him before. Alden was hooked. From that day on, they spent every moment together. Their parents were a bit concerned, telling them that they should take things slow. Stella and Alden did not listen. They had already known each other since preschool. The fact that they were friends first only cemented their relationship. On July 30th, the day of Stella's 19th birthday, they were married. They were married by the pond on the farm. Their wedding and reception was beyond huge. They ate until they were sick. As day turned to night, twinkle lights turned on and the band played till 3 in the morning. Some town folks thought that Stella and Alden had to get married, but that was not the case. 6 months after the wedding, Stella became pregnant with Alden Jr. Stella gave birth to AJ when she was 20. Stella was home alone a lot then, too. Alden was off buying cattle, breeding cattle, researching cattle, and doing sales. Stella was sure that Alden saw cows in his sleep. Shortly after AJ was born, Ben followed. They were so close in age that they were mistaken for twins. After the first two boys, Stella was really praying for a girl, but instead she got twin boys. Since they had an A name and a B name, they decided to pick out a C and a D name. So they were named Caleb and David. Alden would come home long enough to impregnate Stella, and then off he would go again. This became the pattern of things for years. After the twins, Stella was sure that she would get her girl, but Alden disagreed. "Pretty sure I don't make girl babies," Alden declared, while thumping his chest like a gorilla. "Me only make boy babies. Boys good. Me have a girl child, me buy shotgun," Alden growled. Alden started a conga line while chanting. AJ, Ben, and the twins copied their father. "No girls, no girls," they chanted. Stella just shook her head in disgust and went into labor. Again, a boy. Elijah was the smallest of her children, tiny and perfect. He was also the best baby she ever had to care for. He slept through the night from day one. Elijah hardly ever cried. When Stella would dance around the kitchen while cooking, Elijah would stare at his mother with all seriousness. When he would smile or laugh, it was like Stella won the lottery. Elijah's sweet face would transform and bring joy to them all. The boys would make faces at Elijah just to see his smile, but he was stingy with those smiles. 2 years later, Stella gave birth again. Stella gave up on having a girl baby. She didn't dare hope for a girl. She figured it just wasn't going to happen. Stella's wish finally came true. Her last pregnancy, she finally got her baby girl. When Francine came along, Francine was a complete surprise. Franny came into the world on October 3rd with red hair. Her hair looked like living flame, with the biggest pale blue eyes Stella had ever seen. Alden said that if he had not seen the birth of his daughter, he would have thought that she was accidentally switched at birth. But no, this beautiful bundle, 8 pounds and 10 ounces, was all theirs. From birth, Francine tried to rule the house. She screamed to be picked up. She screamed because she wanted to be put down. She screamed because she just wanted to be jiggled. She even screamed between each bite of food. Finally, Stella just upended the jar and let the kid suck the food out all by herself. Stella loved her fiercely. She figured her daughter was going to grow up to be a very independent woman, a strong woman, and with this world the way that it is, she needed to be. As Francine got older, she raced around in her walker. When Pop and Grandma Nettie would show up, those are Alden's parents, Francine would scream some more. Franny would roll her walker at top speed. She would thrash her arms around, insisting loudly that she wanted to be picked up first. And so she was. The boys did not mind that Grandma Nettie ran past them to pick up Franny. They were just happy to have that girl baby quit hollering. Episode 3. Man down, people! Stella glanced out the window as the car drove up. Stella was happy to see that it was her sister Annie. Annie jumped out and headed to the door. Stella opened it with a cup of coffee at the ready, handing it to her sister. Girl, you are a lifesaver. I needed this so bad." Stella and Annie look remarkably similar. Annie is much shorter at 5'8". "Having a bad day, sis?" Stella asked. Annie let out a huff of annoyance. "Yes. Henry is at preschool, and Nettie has Maddie. I should be home planning a special dinner that I'm trying to get ready for by tomorrow. But deep down, I just don't want to do it." "Why not?" Stella asked. "Because this dinner is with Tom's boss and his wife. I really cannot stand the way that Tom gets taken for granted. He works so hard. He puts in long hours away from us. Tom came home and told me that his boss invited himself over. You know me, sis, I can't say no, so I'm forced to spend an evening with the last two people that I would want to cook for, but I'll do it because I do love my Tom. Stella grinned. So what are you going to make? Stella asked. Annie scowled. Probably steaks with all the trimmings, Annie said glumly. Stella snorted. I wouldn't. Annie looked shocked. What? What do you mean? What do you think I should make? Annie, you are an amazing wife and mother, and girl, can you cook. However, I think you should keep it simple. What would you cook if they were not coming over, like your favorite thing? Annie grinned. My chicken enchiladas. We love them. We have them often. Henry asks for them all the time. Well, there you go. Make that. I have had your chicken enchiladas with that yummy white sauce. They are so good. My mouth is watering just thinking about them. You know what, sis? You are right. I'm not doing anything fancy. I am just going to be myself, and if they do not like it, well, tough. Stella smiled. Annie held up her cup for more coffee. So, how are you doing, Stella? You look kind of down when I showed up. Stella hesitated. Every time Alden walked out that door, she was getting more and more resentful. Stella confided in Annie all her thoughts about this issue with her marriage. I feel like I'm a single parent, like I'm a widow. Alden and I made these children, but I'm the only one here. Now that Alden has really started to sell our beef, I feel like he should be able to stay home, maybe work from home, somehow be here for me and our kids. Is that too much to ask? Stella felt tears of frustration mist her eyes. Oh, hon, you have every right to say how you feel. Honestly, I have been sitting back wondering what took you so long. Stella, you have always been that girl that spoke your mind. You are a go getter, a take charge kind of person. I have always been kind of jealous of you for that. I have never been as brave as you. I just go with the flow, and that is why I keel over from stress. Because you speak your mind, you'll never have heart disease or high blood pressure. Annie hesitated at this point, afraid to continue. Stella grinned at her sister. Don't stop now, Annie. You look like there is more you need to say. Why don't you tell me how you really feel? Where Alden is concerned, he is your one weakness, your blind spot. You have always been this way with him. You love that man so much that you want him to be happy, even if that means you see him walk out that door week after week and year after year. I think you are right. It is a brand damn new day. You need to talk to him. I know and you know that in the beginning Alden had to be on the road, but is that really the case now? Stella snorted with laughter. Such language, sister. You are so feisty today, Stella stated. Annie never swears. She is too afraid that her 4-year-old Henry and her 12-month-old Maddie will pick up those bad words. Although so far Maddie was not saying too much. Personally, Stella just thought she was stubborn. Tom and Annie had taken her to a specialist, but nothing seemed to be wrong with her. Stella figured that Maddie would talk when she was good and ready. To, to hear Annie say a swear word was quite comical. Well, I must go, Stella. I love you, and thanks for the advice about the chicken enchiladas. Bye. Annie hugged Stella tight and headed off. Stella stood near the kitchen thinking about everything that Annie and she had talked about. The more she thought about it, the madder she got. How could Alden be this blind? Did he even want to be with her? Did he want to be a father? Again, she thought about all the lonely nights every time the kids were sick. Teachers' conferences, as well as taking care of sick animals, having to clean and cook, the mountains of laundry, not to mention helping 6 kids with their homework night after night. trying to get those same 6 kids to go to sleep, to stop fighting. The list was endless. Plus, every time Stella saw a cow, she got mad all over again. Yes, it was unreasonable. Those cows were taking her husband away from her. Stella was sick, sick, sick of it. Stella spotted the cooking wine perched on the back of the counter. No, it was too early. Stella eyed that bottle some more. She shook her head no, even as she grabbed the bottle and started chugging. The door opened, and there stood Alden. Stella had been so deep in thought that she had not heard him drive up. She didn't even know he was here. Surprise! Hi, babe. I have great news. Whoa. Alden looked a bit disapproving. His right eyebrow went up. He fisted his hands on his hips. Alden had a very judgmental expression on his face. Don't you think it is a bit early in the day to be getting sloshed like that? Disapproval dripped from his voice. What came next? Stella could not have stopped. She was fueled with anger, resentment, and she was so tired. Stella crouched down. She screamed like a banshee as her eyes squinted with rage. Wine and spittle dribbled down her chin. Stella threw the bottle straight at Alden's head. Stella had never been a great softball player. In fact, her team always grumbled about her aim, but not today. Today, that bottle sailed across the room and hit its mark right spot on in the middle of Alden's forehead. Stella saw the horrified look on Alden's face right before the bottle hit. Alden did a graceful spin. All 6 foot 4 inches crashed to the floor. Stella was sure she saw tiny cartoon birds fluttering around Alden's head right before he dropped. Stella's shaking hands flew to her mouth. Her eyes went wide with the knowledge that she may have seriously damaged her man. Please don't be dead. Please, please, oh, please don't be dead, Stella cried. Stella looked closely and saw that his chest was moving up and down. He was breathing. Oh, thank heaven, Stella exclaimed. Stella picked up the bottle and clutched it to her chest. Thank goodness it was still half full. Alden didn't seem to be bleeding, but a huge goose egg was already forming on Alden's forehead. Stella's hands trembled as she took another long swig as she dialed 911. Episode 4. Memory loss? Question mark? Stella paced back and forth at the hospital. Alden woke up just as they got him settled behind a curtained area, but he was still groggy. A tech showed up to take Alden for a CAT scan. He was gone for quite a while. Finally, Alden was brought back to her, but still, he seemed a bit confused. Dr. Wills walked in. He is a tall man in his early 50s, gray hair with blue eyes. Dr. Wills glanced at Stella. She was visibly shaking while chewing on her thumbnail. Hi, Stella. So what happened exactly? Stella turned pale. She waved her hand around, trying to look calm. Oh, you know, most accidents happen in the home. Stella's voice sounded breathless and shaky. Dr. Wills arched his eyebrows. He lifted Alden's eyelids while flashing his penlight back and forth. Then he gently probed the huge lump on Alden's forehead. What caused this head injury? It's such an odd shape. Look at the size of that thing, Dr. Wills exclaimed. Dr. Wills turned toward Stella. Look here, Stella. This lower half is sort of rounded on this outer edge. So very odd. Dr. Wills looked stumped. Stella was sweating profusely. She kept having to wipe the moisture off her upper lip. She also ran her hand across her forehead. Her body was covered in sweat. Her deodorant failed a while ago. Dr. Wills glanced back at Stella. Maybe I need to check you over, Dr. Wills exclaimed. Dr. Wills eyed Stella. He grabbed a chair and sat down. He just kept staring at her thoughtfully, not saying anything. Dr. Wills glanced from Stella to Alden, back and forth for a bit. Dr. Wills leaned his elbow on the medical table. The longer he sat there thinking, the more nervous Stella got. You know, Stella, I've been your family doctor for years. I've helped bring all your babies into this world. I think I have a fairly good idea what may have happened. Stella started to speak, but Doc put up his hand to stop her. Doc smiled slightly while he raised one eyebrow. I was also Alden's doctor, Doc said dryly. Dr. Wills shook his head in disgust. That boy always was a handful. He could make a monk swear. Doc remembered all the scrapes, the bruises, the stitches, and the pure frustration that he gave his mother. Then Doc winked at Stella. Yep, I have to agree, Stella. Household accidents are the worst. Dr. Wills nodded knowingly. Stella gasped. But Doc, wait. Maybe I should explain what happened, Stella cried. Again he stopped her. Let me ask you this, Stella. In the future, is Alden going to be safe in his home? Doc's eyes twinkled. Stella nodded her head yes vigorously. Let me go check on the CAT scan results, but my guess is that everything will be just fine. Dr. Will started out the door. Doc stopped, turned his head to look over his shoulder, and smiled secretively. You know, Stella, I think your aim is improving. I expect great things out of you when softball starts up. Then he turned and left, leaving Stella stunned. Alden finally seemed more awake, but still very confused. Dang, babe, what am I doing here? What happened? Oh my, where are the kids? Alden was a bit frantic. Stella's jaw dropped. Well, Annie's at the house with our kids. She has Henry and Maddie also, and your mother Nettie is helping. My head is killing me, Alden groaned. Alden felt his forehead and freaked out. What the? Stella! Holy cow, my face feels deformed. Why can't I remember what happened? Alden cocked his head slightly, trying to remember. Stella just shrugged. She hated the thought that he was having memory issues, but then again, she was relieved as well. Stella studied her husband's face. Alden's forehead looked broad. It protruded out, making his eyebrows look huge. The swelling caused his eyes to look squinty. He looked like he would have fit right in the Stone Age era. Dr. Wills strolled back in. Well, hello, Alden. How are you feeling? By the way, your CAT scan was all clear. We are going to release you here shortly. Doc patted Alden gently on his arm. Doc went on to say, ice packs on the forehead. If you feel sick to your stomach ache, get a stomach ache, you come right back in. Wake him up every few hours just as a precaution. If his speech slurs or he seems confused, does not respond, come back. Here is a script for 8 Norco. Only have him take them if he really needs to. Alden had been listening while holding his head. Suddenly, Alden's squinty eyes bugged open. Wait a minute. It's all coming back to me. Alden looked furious. Alden pointed his violently shaking finger at Stella. It was you. You hit me with that wine bottle. Alden stabbed his finger repeatedly at Stella in outrage. Stella grabbed Alden's pillow from behind his head. Alden's head smacked down on the mattress. He let out a pained grunt. Oh! Gasp! Alden exclaimed as his sore head hit the bed with a thud. Stella placed the pillow over Alden's face to shut him up. Alden struggled, arms and legs thrashing. Stella, please stop smothering your husband. Dr. Wills held in a chuckle, eyes twinkling. Stella let go. Alden came up sputtering, full of outrage. Dr. Wills, Alden bellowed, she's crazy. I remember everything. Alden glared at Stella. Stella glared right back. Stella's hands clenched at her sides. She ground her teeth until they hurt. She was wishing she had another bottle handy. Alden must have started to get the idea that Stella could turn violent again. Alden got nervous. He was the first one to look away. Alden grabbed his hospital blanket, pulling it up to his nose. I'm not going anywhere with her. I'm the victim here, Alden squeaked. Alden lowered his blanket a bit and whispered, Doc, don't send me with her. She is so scary. I think insanity runs in her family. I am sure of it. Alden's eyes widened as far as they could. He tugged the blanket back up for protection. Dr. Will sat back down. Well, according to your wife, Alden, this was an accident, Dr. Will said calmly. Alden gasped in outrage. Lies! All lies! Alden bellowed. Doc steepled his hands, looking straight at Alden. Now, Alden, if you are saying you do not feel safe in your home, or if you are telling me that Stella tried to injure you, Alden pointed at his forehead. Look at my head, Doc. I didn't do this stubbing my toe. Doc kept talking as though Alden had not spoken. Well, then I would have no choice but to call the police and have her arrested, Dr. Wills announced. Alden sputtered, well, maybe one night in jail would calm her down, Alden declared self-righteously. Alden crossed his arms across his chest and smirked at Stella. Alden even nodded his head at her for good measure. Stella shrieked. She practically vibrated with indignation. Stella pointed her finger at Alden, screeching in rage. You are an asshole! I would love to go to jail for a night. Then at least I would get a day off, maybe sleep in. Stella never swore. She was totally against swearing, but today she was enraged. Doc ignored their outburst of temper. He kept talking as though World War III were not unfolding. After Stella is jailed, Alden, then I would just send you on home to your 6 children by yourself. Total silence. Alden froze. Alden's eyes widened. He gulped. Alden cocked his head to the side. He was so rattled at the thought of going home alone to his 6 youngsters that he started stuttering. No, Doc, I am thinking that maybe, just maybe, I am not real sure what happened. Yes, everything is a bit blurry. Alden turned toward Stella. You ready to go home, honey? I am so ready to get out of here, Alden exclaimed. Doc stood up. Well, all right then. Now, just to be clear here, I am counting on the 2 of you to go home and have a nice long talk. Clear up any possible misunderstandings and please try to stay out of my ER. Doc turned around and left the room. Stella started to speak after Doc left. She moved toward Alden to help him up. Alden grabbed his blanket, pulling it back up to just below his squinty, swollen eyes. Alden started flinching like he thought she had another bottle tucked away somewhere. Stella rolled her eyes and sighed. I'll go get the car, Stella murmured. Okay, well, that's the episodes for today, and I'll be back tomorrow to read some more, and I hope you're enjoying it. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share, okay? Yeah, that'd be great. Have a great day.